Bill King, Conversations in All Keys, from the classic Redwood Theatre. Taking their name from the word for heart in Afro-Cuban religion of Santeria, Okan is a Juno Award-winning women-led ensemble that fuses Afro-Cuban roots with jazz, folk, and global rhythms in songs about immigration, courage, and love. Welcome in Elizabeth Rodriguez, Magdalis Savigny.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for having us here.
You just saw the place, didn't you?
I know.
Redwood.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's gorgeous.
And what a journey you two have had.
Yes.
You arrived first in 2014.
Yeah.
And for what reason?
Well, I came playing with another band, Makeke
Okay.
and Jane Bonnet.
Right.
And then I just decided to make this my home. And it was full of opportunities, and I tried to grasp every single opportunity, playing with different kinds of people, different kinds of music, Turkish, Brazilian, Greek, like everything. And for me, it was amazing. I got to play with you, which we got to meet. And then I got to play with the Rhythm Express. And it opened my mind to the new possibilities and things where I could be part of.
But you also had the great Papioso, who would say, he would recommend you right off the bat.
Papi is amazing.
Yeah.
Like he would recommend me. Like he said, "Oh yeah, could you sub for me in this band and things like that?" And
Yeah, but it just
I'm like,
seems
"Yeah, sure."
But it seems so unusual because of the percussionist. It's a men's thing in many ways.
Yes, and they still keep
And they
it.
sent you out first.
Yeah. I know.
Which I thought was remarkable. How kind of him and thoughtful.
He was very nice and very kind. Yes.
Yeah, and your background. Oh, you have quite a background. Classical percussionist.
Yes.
And piano.
Piano, classical
And
percussionist.
She said 12 years of indoctrination.
Yes, true. And classical music, maybe we weren't even allowed to play popular music.
This is in Cuba.
In Cuba.
You're Santiago de Cuba.
Santiago de Cuba. So if you were caught playing popular music back in my day, like you were either kicked out of school or like your parents will be at school and you will be fined, like things like that. You weren't allowed to do any of that. No, none. So everything I learned, like the percussion, popular percussion, the congas, what I do now, I did it on the street. So watching the big guys doing it and learning on my own. Like nobody sat you down and say, okay, let's do this. Plus I'm a girl, so nobody wants to teach a girl, right? So now it's changed. I'm so happy things have changed. But not only because men are more willing to teach girls, it's just girls are taking the initiative as well, not taking a no for an answer and say, okay, I want to do this, and they just do it.
Now, is Yessi the same age? The
Yeah.
drum?
I started at 7.
Yeah, but Yessi, what's her name?
Easy.
Yeezy is a drummer.
Yeah, but
Same.
she's amazing.
She's amazing. She also had a hard time to start in the drums. Like she wasn't even allowed to play her dad's drums. Like that bad.
Unbelievable.
Her dad was a drummer.
Her dad was a drummer for Arturo Sandoval, and she wasn't even allowed on her dad's drums, but she did, and she's amazing. You see,
And she's
like you have to take
always
the
in demand.
initiative. Always.
Always in demand.
Always.
Elizabeth, classical.
Yeah. Violin learned by a
Yeah.
Ukrainian woman in a very,
Not very fun
Very
way.
strict. Very strict.
let's use the word strict just not to say nerve-wracking. Yes, that woman made me, when they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, it was literally made me stronger. But I owe her a lot. And very recently, we had a concert with the Symphony Orchestra of Nova Scotia. And I remember my teacher because I had to get into that mode of machine. I call it machine mode when I get like that because I was trained like a machine in order to play perfect from top to bottom, making no mistakes. And I just call up on my teacher. I was like, okay, I need you here now because I cannot mess it up.
She could get you on the right path.
Like that's it. And
But you would sit there, probably run through scales, run through patterns, or run through books of pieces, and you go, I got to go note for note, has to be perfect.
Totally. Like there was no chance to making mistakes, and yes, scales and practice hours. And I am a very procrastinator person, and I will always use my talent to do it until for the last minute. And I would drag her crazy because of that. She wanted me to practice months in advance, and I was like, I'll get that. And
Worst part is that she did. She did get it.
and then I would do it in a week, what all my friends were doing like for months, and I was like, I would practice last week.
Well, I remember we're in the basement and we're recording a tune, and I remember seeing, I just met you, not long, you showed up at the Beaches Jazz Festival carrying her conga drum.
Yes, that day I would never forget, because that was the day that I ran out of my ex-husband's house. Like, I split up that day. It was my birthday, and I was like, I'm out of this. And that day I met you, so I would never forget that day.
In a blue dress.
In
And a blue dress that nobody will
was
ever forget either,
27.
especially Michael Dunstan. He won't ever forget that
She was
dress.
stunning. And she's carrying your conga drum. We're saying, what's going on here?
I know. It was my roadie.
I was 27 years old,
Boy, I
and I
gotta
had
know
like
you
no
better.
I got my
stomach.
sexy roadie here for everybody to see.
And you said to me, she's amazing.
She's an amazing singer and violin player, so you have to try it
I
out.
had to believe you. But then we're sitting in the basement. We're going over the tune. I'm just trying to record something with you. And I brought up, I said, I saw this Ron Chapman film called Port of Havana. And she goes, I was in it. And you were there with Jackson Brown. And I looked at her and I went, I emceed this event for premiere. I'm sitting there watching the whole thing, and I said, this young woman is amazing. I just wish I could work with her. And then I'm looking over and I went, there she is in the basement. So it was like that magic of thinking about the world that I am in, the music I am, the world you were in at the time, because you were just evolving and thinking about where you're going to go. You still didn't have Okan yet.
No.
But we're playing around with music and ideas and stuff, and I'm going, this is remarkable, just to be there with the two of you. Now, I think about, in my trips to Cuba in 1993, when I went to Cuba, I was in Trinidad and Santeria, and I went through the ceremony. They gave the ceremony, and I still got the cigar smoke on me from the whole thing, the drums and the whole thing. And I thought about the importance of that in Afro-Cuban music and the heritage and the West African traditions and then the Catholic saints. Combining these two together. I'm still trying to make sense of that.
Okay, so that is called syncretism, and that is the way that the African people found that they could still celebrate and practice their religion. So they just kind of like, in this religion, this god represents water or the ocean.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna use that, and our goddess that represents the ocean, and we're going to call it the same. So, because at the end, the religion, or most of the religions, are trying to explain nature. Because at the end, that's the biggest
That's
power.
what it's doing, right? Chris is the river. It's each.
Yeah, the river is
and each
Oshun,
has a
and
name.
exactly, and each one
deity.
has a name, and then what they were trying to do is to mix them together. So they were pretending that they were celebrating one saint, but at the end they were trying to celebrate their own gods.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to practice
So
the religion.
it was kind of
openly.
like a cover up,
Yeah.
and then it became this religion that it was born then in Cuba, because what we practice was born in Cuba. They brought their ideas, but the way that we practice it now, it was born in Cuba with the tools and the things that they had in Cuba. That we don't practice the same way that Nigerians do.
And the difference from the countries that were conquered by the English is that they were allowed 1 day a year to perform their own celebration. So they had 1 day out of a whole year to dress up like their orishas, to perform the chants, to play their drums. So that's it, 1 day. So that day was like a huge celebration, so powerful that no one could take that away from you, not even slavery. So that's how powerful this thing is. And even like that created a whole other power that is not even dead now. Like it just gained
Keeps
more and more.
evolving.
It keeps evolving, and even with when the revolution triumphed, I do this because when the revolution triumphed in '59, they also tried to erase this religion,
That's
and
right.
they couldn't make it.
Yeah.
That's how powerful this thing became.
And this is all a result of the slave trade, because Trinidad was the entry port, right?
Yes.
And the vestiges of that are still there, that are still marked. I mean, they tried to erase it even in Trinidad, but
Everywhere.
but there's like some information there that points to that. And it's also the beginning of Afro-Cuban music.
Mm-hmm.
It's the roots of where and it's spread throughout the country through the populace.
Too much power. We have to use it.
Yeah.
But your new album, Okan to me, is tells those stories.
Well,
I know.
that album is, as we were just talking before, it is the first time where we feel so proud and so happy with what we did that we actually listening to our own music. We're putting
Over and over.
Without criticizing, huh?
without
You
criticizing.
can move back and go without a critical ear.
Exactly,
yes.
and it has taken us years, and this is the third album where we're like, okay, this is cool, we like it, and it has a lot of work because we had 3 years in between, and there was a pandemic in between where we had time to process and to grow the songs and to mature and to evolve as personal work that we have been doing. We became mothers in the process as well. So like we have grown as people, and we came to terms of acknowledging and accepting everything we are. Yes, we have our Afro-Cuban traditions and roots and families, but we were also brainwashed by the Western world with classical music and we had that training. So we wanted to put everything together, everything we are, everything we do, and without even overthinking the balance. It was just like the way it comes out. A lot of people ask us like, oh, how do you mix your classical world and put it like so easily? Well, because it's the way we make music, is the natural way of making music for us. And it is a deeper dive into our roots, but with more acceptance and a little bit of more knowledge, but also more love.
Yeah, we made peace with all of our different backgrounds and upbringings. We made peace with it, and we put ourselves, like, this album is so personal. We always say, like, this album is so personal. Everything in the album talks about us and where we come from and where we are directing our steps to. Like, this is what we want to show people. This is Okan. Like, this last album is Okan, for you, a gift from us.
That's the statement that you wanted to make all along.
Yes.
You had to get to the point. Now, I was in your
But we needed to grow.
Well, I was with you, and I was over your apartment. I saw you. You sit down, you write like these rhythms out, and she's looking at you, going, "What is 11/3? What is this?" And,
Oh my God.
but that's your specialty. But
Yes.
but the beauty is, in North American music, everything's basically 4/4.
Yes.
And it's based on 2 and 4, the beat or whatever. But in the music you make, time has a different meaning.
Yes.
Time flows, and you're outside of the beat. The beat goes, but you know naturally where to fall within the beat.
Yes.
Very difficult for anybody.
Yeah,
In
but
my-
time.
in my
I know,
world,
but people
you know.
try to overthink
can't count.
things too much. You
Exactly,
need
I
to
don't want
believe
people
that
to
time.
count. I want
don't
people to
count.
feel.
Time is a time. If we talk about the concept of time, time is something that flows.
Yeah.
Like it is always now. It is always tomorrow. If you think about that, like it's always present. It's always the future. You need to make your peace with that too, and flow. Let the music take you. Like you don't need to be established into one beat, the heartbeat.
Yeah.
It's like it can change. It can move.
We
Like
had a moment in this production
Yeah.
of this album with Jeremy Lebetter, which is
He's terrific.
he is amazing.
amazing.
He's amazing.
Amazing.
And he co-produced the album with us this time. And at the last song, there is a ballad where because everything is so aggressive in the album, and we decided to like let's just do like one to send people off very easily. And it's
Nicely.
like a lullaby for our son that we did. I wrote it when I was pregnant, and then Jeremy didn't understand. I mean, he knows the tempo, but he said like people are not going to understand. And this was a fight between us. We're like, okay, like regular fight, not
yeah,
big deal.
nothing violent.
We're like, okay, Jeremy, I don't care if people don't understand don't understand the tempo. This is what it is. And Jeremy's like, no, but you have to give the people. So he made us do like 2 clicks before the group
so they
begins.
could enter,
Ku,
yeah.
ku, kum, cha, 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 ta, tra,
Yeah.
kum,
Yeah.
ka. And I was like, but Jeremy, I don't care if people feel it somewhere else. It's okay. I
It's
just want people
okay.
to listen to the song
Yeah.
and just go with the flow. But he made us do that and like click.
But it's a
click.
lullaby, so it doesn't matter where the tempo is. You just fall asleep with it.
Yeah, but this is the blowback on that. I played on a Rocco album.
Oh, wow.
And Papioso says,
Papioso.
and Roberto Riveron says, it's really easy, Dad. We need the organ solo right here. And he goes, okay, okay, go. And I went, where?
Okay, now.
I'm playing organ going, where do I fall in this? And he's behind me going, click, 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 right here. Click, click, click. I went, oh, okay. I
Okay.
think I found it. And I got done. He goes, that sounded great. And I went, what? And you know what I mean? For us who hear things as,
And it's okay.
The Funk Brothers.
We need that.
But
we
we,
let you do this on your own.
we even
Yeah.
recorded a song. We were
Yeah.
backing vocals for a Brazilian artist.
Yeah.
The daughter of, her name is
Bianca Gismonti.
Bianca Gismonti. And we recorded the song. She sent us the song. We recorded it. We did it. It was Afro-Brazilian. And a few months later, when we saw her here in Canada, we did the song and when we were about to rehearse, she's like, yeah, but the one is here. So we discovered after recording, the song is out.
The song is out,
The
and it
song
was
is completely
great.
out. And the way we recorded it was like thinking the one was somewhere else, and it worked, and she liked it. And then when she came and we rehearsed, and she explained to us where the one was, we're like, what?
I
That was
know.
the one?
But it's
Okay.
a different style. It's great. It's like I remember
Well, this
when I
is it.
first got here and I had to play with the Turkish community.
Oh, it's,
and I
that's out
discovered.
there.
So 9/8. Let's talk
9/8,
about
yep,
music.
yep.
9/8.
Yeah.
We are used to do 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. They don't do that. For they is 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2
Right.
1. It's a different accent, and for me it was like what? And they look so natural
But they
doing
can
it.
dance to that.
And
They
they
know
dance to that.
exactly where
They
the-
know exactly where it is.
where
And
the
I'm like,
beats fall.
how can you dance to that and sing that? Like it's.
But then you wrote something in
I
that.
wrote something in that, and I mixed it with the Cuban club, and I was like, okay, there's the roots. Yes,
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
So just try to get your soul into that. It's different, and I know, and different is challenging and it's scary.
But that's where you wanna
But
be.
you can do it. That's what I want to be.
One of my first things, learning to understand the rules and laws and how people are treated humanely in Cuba was Ronaldo Arenas, the book Before Night Falls. I remember the movie, Javier
Santa
Bardem.
Canoche.
And I was thinking about you guys are in a relationship and how difficult it was for men at the time. They were in prison.
Yes.
And he was an amazing writer. And then I think he passed away in the early 90s after he got out of prison in New York City and stuff because
Yeah.
of AIDS and stuff right like this. But I would think it'd be even tougher being a women in a relationship. I can't.
Oh.
Tell me something about this, because you guys, the first time I saw you, I knew. I said these women just, you know,
didn't
they need
even
to be a
dare.
team because they're going to make great music in the future.
I know. It's,
I didn't even dare to come out in Cuba, and
Yeah.
and that was even subconsciously, right? Like, I realized now that I was attracted to women back then, but back then I wouldn't even dare to question that because there's so little permission,
Yes.
and I didn't. And here, because there's more liberties, more open, I was able to, like, when I started falling for Max, I was like, oh, I like a girl now. Okay, sure.
It's scary.
Let's explore this. But Max has way more experience because coming out in Cuba, that is like a whole.
it was
different
hard. The
level.
first thing to face is your family.
Oh yes.
Because when your family supports you, everything you don't care about.
Yeah.
The society can wait. My family has my back, so it's fine. So facing your family, your parents, that's the hardest part. And then when you don't have that support, you have to find your support somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I had to leave my house at that point in order to be free, to be who I am, because it was hard. I had to pretend to be somebody else for so long. And then I had to move to Havana, to the other side of the country, where I had more freedom, but still, like I couldn't even hold hands. on the street with a girlfriend, you know, like I had to do that here in Canada. So after years, because there only brave people do that, and you get a lot of backlash, not only by the people on the street, people that might be gay too, but they are so afraid and so in the closet that they criticize you.
And government is so much in your life.
And the government also, it's a militarized government that they don't accept anything that is black and white, like less than black and white.
But even during the AIDS crisis, they were like
Horrible.
They were terrible.
Horrible. So for these people like Reinaldo Arenas,
separated.
they had camps. The camps had a logo saying like, work will make you men. So el trabajo los hará hombres. Like work will make you men. So we'll break you down. Your soul will break here, and we'll put you working on the fields until you become a man.
artists into slaves.
Yes, they cut their hair because if you had long hair, you were persecuted. If you were practiced Afro-Cuban religion, you were persecuted. So this was not before the 59. This was after the revolution.
In the 60s.
In the 60s. It was horrible. A lot of artists had to leave. Servando Cabrera, Severo Sarduy, Reinaldo Arenas, like so many artists got fired from their jobs and they had to leave in drafts. And leave the country, otherwise they will be facing prison. Nobody wants to be in prison.
And it's great being here, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Amazing.
Well, I always tell everybody, I'm an immigrant, and when we come here, we sing the immigrant song. This is what we do,
Yes.
and we sing it every day.
Yes.
I know that you're American and you love Canada deeply, but I do have to say that I also love America.
Of course you do.
I do. I lived there, and I find
You lived in
American
Boston,
people.
right?
Yeah, I lived in Boston.
Yeah.
I find American people a little bit more direct than Canadians. I still cannot get by the Canadian passive aggressive thing. However, I have learned from it.
Yes.
I have learned, and now I use it on my emails.
It's necessary
But
now.
it is necessary, and I do appreciate, and I'm so grateful to Canada because it gave us, that freedom that we can be a team, that we can be married
band.
couple
And you write
openly.
and you sing about it.
And we do.
Yeah,
And it's okay.
That takes some courage.
And it's okay. And
it's
nobody
okay.
will
And
give
what
you
do how
backlash
do your
for it.
audiences react?
Oh, every time I say like I write this song, that I wrote this song for her, everybody's like, oh, that's so nice. In Cuba, people will be like,
What?
freaked out. But it is a blessing to have, especially with the new generations. Like the kids don't care.
No, nobody
They're
cares.
They don't care.
I remember, a student of mine told me when I was starting dating Max, she's like, okay, so are you happy? I was like, yes. So then I'm okay.
She was 6.
That was it. And that girl was 6
The girl
years old.
was 6 years old.
She
and
was the
got
one
it.
that set the standards for me to, like, if people don't react this way, I don't want you in my life.
Yeah. We all love you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
We
you,
love you too.
Elizabeth Rodriguez.
Thank
Yes.
you
Thank
so
you
much.
for participating today.
No, our pleasure. man.
Always the
I
best.
love you so
girls.
much.
Man,
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. And
That
we always
beginning-
remember you and our beginnings with Pablo, Paul, with a man like in your basement.
Yes.
All the beautiful things we did together, we always remember that and be
Yeah.
grateful.
We
for
have
that.
to do
We always
movies.
wanted you to go off and do beautiful things too, and it's been remarkable.
Yes.
So thank you so much. It's been Bill King Conversations in All Keys, right here live from the classic Redwood Theatre. Thank you so much.